So I'm Suzanne Newcomb. It's been my great privilege to work as a research fellow on the Ayuryog Project for the last 5 years. This was primarily based at the University of Vienna with Dagmar Vujastic as the principal investigator, but I was personally based at Inform, and this has been a very fruitful collaboration, and I want to explain a bit why that's the case. And my colleague Sarah is going to first introduce Inform a little bit for those of you who aren't familiar with it.
Thanks, Suzanne. So I'm Dr. Sarah Harvey, and I'm the Senior Research Officer at Inform, where I've worked for nearly 20 years now. Inform was founded by Professor Eileen Barker in 1988 when she was at the London School of Economics. And it was founded as an educational charity to provide information about minority religions that is as accurate and as up-to-date and as balanced and contextual as possible. She founded it because she found that there was harm being caused by the misinformation about minority religions that was available. So we really seek to bridge the divide between the academic world and the general public and bring scholarly research into new and minority religious movements available to a wider audience. So people can contact us in a number of different ways. We have a telephone helpline and an email inquiry service, and anyone can contact us and ask a question about a new religious movement. We do our best to answer these questions ourselves based on the vast material that we have at Inform, but we can also draw upon a very wide network that we have. And this network includes academics, but also members and former members of religious movements, as well as their relatives and friends, and also other people with an interest, such as police, lawyers, social workers, government officials, and so on. And this network is really important to Inform, which the acronym stands for Information Network Focus on Religious Movements. So we maintain a database of movements. We have just over 5,000 different records on the database of minority movements which are found around the world, but we have around 1,000 new religious movements which are currently active in the UK. As well as answering the inquiries and maintaining the database, which is our day-to-day work, we also have worked on a number of different funded projects. And in the recent past, this has included work for the Department for Education, for Culham St Gabriel's, and for CENSAM, which is the Centre for the Critical Study of Apocalyptic and Millennial Movements. We put on 1 or 2 public seminars every year. These are day-long events which can attract up to 100 people, and they're on a particular topic relevant to new religious movements. So, for instance, health and healing, counselling, prophecy, and so on. We also have a book series with Routledge, which build on these seminars and publish the papers that have been presented at the seminars, as well as other papers. So Suzanne and I have an edited collection on prophecy. I have one with other colleagues on counselling, and myself and Professor Eileen Barker have one coming out quite soon, hopefully, on health and healing. So Suzanne has worked at Inform for almost as long as I have, first as a research officer and more recently as a research fellow with the Ayuryog Project, which she will talk about in a moment. Since the start of this year, she has been the honorary director of Inform. So Suzanne is now going to talk a little bit about the Ayuryog Project and how it fits with Inform's work.
So I've been based at Inform for the Ayuryog Project, working part-time on it. And Inform's been a fantastic place to gain a comparative understanding, because of those 5,000 groups on the Inform database, quite a lot of them use techniques of yoga and meditation in various ways. And my work on the project has really focused on understanding the entanglements of the 3 main traditions, yoga, Ayurveda, and Rasa Shastra, or longevity, life extension practices in India. But in the modern period, the context of colonialism, particularly British colonialism in India, and global exchange in the, say, post-Second World War neoliberal era, where there have been lots of global exchanges of gurus, new religious movements, which Inform understands in a very broad context. So when a tradition that might have roots of millennium in India comes to a new shore, it has a different set of characteristics. And so we would include this in our understanding of a minority or a new religion. So looking at the transformations of these traditions as what has happened to yoga, meditation, Ayurveda as they've come into new contexts, how have those traveled back to India and been incorporated into Indian nationalistic government frameworks of understanding what these practices are, what they should be, how they can be part of India and Indians' exports increasingly going into the 21st century under the Hindutva movement, integrating these. And so Inform's been a fantastic place to gain this kind of comparative perspective and to see the entanglements of the global context in a modern period. Specifically, I've collaborated with Inform in two projects. One was a larger project on health and healing in minority religions, which Eileen Barker got some British Academy funding, and my colleague Sarah Harvey was co-editing the book with her and provided quite a lot of research support for that project. And I've got a chapter coming out in their forthcoming volume, and there was an Inform seminar series, which was really helpful in contextualizing how different soteriological contexts are framing health and healing and the place of the body. And a second point of specific collaboration has been on the idea of immortality, and Inform also held a joint seminar with Ayuryog earlier in 2020, where we explored the different ways of understanding what immortality means and how beliefs about immortality can be transformational in practice in how we live our daily lives, even if the empirical validity of them might be challenged by biomedicine. That doesn't mean they aren't practices that have real effects or beliefs that have real effects. And understanding that in a comparative context makes it easier to understand how these ideas aren't exceptional. They're part of the human condition, and also to look more carefully at what's specific in a particular context. So it's not that they're the same, but what's specific in a particular context and what is part of a broader explanatory model and ways of handling our bodies, ways of handling how to be healthy, how to maintain our equilibrium in this very rapidly changing modern world.